Welcome back, guys, to the fucking Nutters podcast.
I
Happy
think
Valentine's Day.
yeah, I think this is just a massive podcast, really, isn't it now?
We are wild cards, and of course, today we're going to get even wilder with the stories of finding love as bodybuilders. We've got Romana showing the Let's Avo cuddle, Ted setting the tone.
Dan got it for me for Valentine's Day last year.
That is cute.
Yeah. I'm surprised Rogue hasn't eaten it yet, to be fair, because she is currently devouring a pingu.
Oh, that's
We had Sarah's
Mm.
animals having a mini little.
It's
I
great.
saw,
they've gone downstairs now. I messaged Lee, it's like, please call him.
I feel like animals. I was talking to Dr. Scott about it the other day. They just love you. So it's just like, oh, they're so easily pleased and they can have a teddy or whatever.
Well, that's the thing with like, I've never had a dog before, and like, I think I've always been a cat person and will always be a cat person. I think, and obviously, me and Leets have this discussion all the time. I prefer probably a cat because you have to get love from them.
Okay.
And so when you get the love from a cat, I feel like it means much more because they've come to you for it. Whereas a dog, it's just such unconditional love, isn't it? They'll give you love whoever you are. Whereas a cat's like, nah, I fancy giving you a snuggle later.
I don't know. Manu's quite picky. He will bark. Yeah. It's whenever we're out in public, people always want to come up and speak to us,
Yeah.
and he'll just start barking at them. And it's like the amount of children, he's really not good with children, will just their parents they'll ignore me and Dan, and they'll just take their child to Manu, and then they look at us as if we've got horns because Manu starts. She's currently, oh fuck, she just reversed into my laptop tray. Yeah. Yeah, so he'll just start barking at them, and then we're the horrible people who teach our dogs to eat children.
But then why would you take your child
Oh,
towards a dog? And Manu's not like a small dog either.
no, no. Je
People
ne
just
sais
don't have
quoi.
common sense.
Hmm?
People just don't have common sense.
No, innit?
Negative.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
honestly,
We had this, we took Murphy out for like a walk the other day because he can go out for walks now. And this lady like came up to us and she was like, oh, like your puppy's really cute and that. When are you gonna have him done? And we didn't know who the fuck this lady was. And we were like, oh, okay, so straight in with the question. And we were like, well, we might not have him done, it just depends. And she was like, depends on what? And we're like, well, it just depends. And she was like, I had my dogs neutered at 8 weeks. And we were like, wow.
Oh, good.
Dog then,
So
is it?
you fucked that dog's hormones off
Yeah,
before
it's
it's
funny.
actually finished
Like,
growing.
10 minutes before, she was like, oh, he's not really very good with dogs, so just pick the puppy up. And I was like, yeah, no wonder why, because you took his bollocks away when he was a child.
There's a really good podcast that James Smith does with the South End dog trainer on YouTube, and
Oh,
it talks
yes.
it talks a lot about that because Dan and I were talking about Rogue's probably going to come into season in the next sort of 4 or 5 months, maybe a bit before, and I'm unsure about whether to have her spayed. But then obviously we've got Manu who hasn't been done. But I
Yeah.
also kind of think like surely he must work out logistics of that just won't work. Plus technically incest.
You would hope, anyway.
Yeah. You don't want
Goal
your
is a
don't want your
goal.
bits out, do you?
Well,
How do you feel about the scenario? I think
I was talking to Rogue for the record. That
sorry,
isn't what I mentioned before we started the podcast kicking in already.
I just said any hole is a goal, right? Like,
that'll fit.
yeah.
that's it.
Ram it in.
I feel like as well, the scenarios you're describing, I feel like, when you've got like a dog and they're on the floor and then you have a child or a person walk towards them, just, like throwing their hands at them. And I always think, imagine being that dog, no matter how big it is, thinking, holy fuck, who is this person? And then if the dog acts up or barks or whatever, it's like, behave. Your dog doesn't behave. Why haven't you trained it? And you're like, you're literally
Why
coming.
haven't you trained yourself? Why haven't
Yeah.
you trained
Yeah.
yourself not to invade someone's personal space? Fuck off.
Yeah. Well, it's like a
People.
random person coming up towards you, isn't it? When you're like
Mm.
big,
Yeah.
isn't it? Exactly.
Come on,
Especially she's like tiny teeny.
and
Like, look
we
at the mouth.
spoke about this before, Romana, with personal space.
Look at them.
Yes, and the lack and how people just don't.
Even yours are going at each other.
I've got
Come
this
on
is
in.
like UFC right here.
Look at Rose.
Yeah, that's special. That is. Right.
When we were
Aw.
talking about it, Mana, you were saying about like on the tube, and you'd had some
Oh
experience,
God.
yeah, where
Yes.
people sort of, and mainly children, sort of just come up to you like, and it's like you're not being horrible. It's just like, you don't know who you're walking up to, and it's like personal space for a lot of people
Mm.
is a thing. And I feel like again, even in the subject today of talking about finding love and whatever, it's like where do the boundaries of personal space kick in
Mm.
sometimes as bodybuilders? It's like, oh, you're really confident, you want everyone staring at you, you want all of this attention. It's like actually a lot of bodybuilders want that personal space, you know?
That episode on the train is a classic example of why you should be cautious of other people's personal space because you don't know what they're going through. Because I was actually going back to the site of London Bridge for the first time since I'd left London, so in about 5 years, and I'd only been back there once since the terrorist attack happened. And yeah, this I'm stood there. It's hot. It's rush hour. It's fucking heaving, and this child has just run their hand down my back and onto like my coccyx, so basically my bum, and the parents just sat there like, eh. Luckily, I'm quite together, but if I'd been some fucking lunatic, reaction could
Yeah.
have just turned around and walloped them, especially like considering diagnosis wise what I had going on. I wasn't prone to violent outbursts, but some people are. It's just that, like, don't touch, just don't touch.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people lack common sense, as I said, but if my little one ever, like she's sitting there beside me, but she just knows she never to her hands are for her and her only.
Yeah,
Like she would never, even with someone's dog, she'll always ask first, is he okay?
yeah.
Do you know the kind of way she knows? She's like, right, well, she doesn't want someone coming up to her. Is it okay if I pet your head? Do you know the kind of way? Like you don't do that to someone.
It
But we
leads on it
mm,
leads on quite nicely to dating as a bodybuilder and the unwanted touching that some
oh.
men think is appropriate on a first date. Oh, can you flex your bicep? I really want to touch it. Fuck off.
I actually wouldn't know, to be fair. As I said, like I'm single, what, 6 years? Is it 6 years? And since I started bodybuilding, I've never been on a date since.
Fair.
Never.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. No, come here. As I said, like during prep, I wouldn't even call it a relationship. Not even a situationship. It was just something that was nothing, if that makes sense.
Itch,
Um,
scratch.
yeah, not even that. Just the odd. Are you training? Yeah, I'm training. Do you know the kind of way, like signal?
Definitely together. Waved at me.
It's like, are you training? Spot me? Yeah, that's about it. That's all. But other than that, now since yeah, I'd say about 6 years, haven't been on it. Like haven't been with anyone. Then when I started bodybuilding, never been on a date again. Females over here that are a little bit that have muscle is not common at all. So I remember when I first when I went into prep, I had headphones on and I had gone back to the gym that I was previously in when I started bodybuilding, and my headphones were dead. But there was obviously this group of lads that I knew from there before. They didn't realize it was me, and then he thought it was me. But he thought I had headphones on. And he was like, "Yes, sir, no, sir, thank you, sir." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, as if to call me a bloke. Yeah. And I was like, is he actually for real? Like, is he actually, he just stood there and blatantly said, yes or no, sir, thank you, sir. So that just put me off. The thought, I was just like, you know what?
I
Yes or
think
no, so I'll split it in a minute. No problem.
I
Yeah.
think I'd given up on dating by the time we started hanging out, Sarah, didn't I?
Yeah,
I think I was until Dan waddled along. But there were some interesting experiences
I'm waiting on
from
this one.
from Tinder. Yeah. Every fucker's a bodybuilder on Tinder,
No
but they're
way.
not. But they're not actually.
Mm.
Like,
Oh,
obviously preferencing people that did train. But yeah, there was a lot of, oh my God, you can lift more than me. Oh, it's so intimidating. It's like, well, that's not my problem. That's your problem.
Yeah.
But I did go on I was actually CrossFitting rather than bodybuilding. So had some more muscle than your average female probably, but not to the extent now. And it was when I was in the ambulance service, and I'd been filmed for this segment on BBC News about hospital waiting times. And this guy on Facebook started messaging me, and then he was on Instagram messaging me, and it was fucking every direction. And he was like, "Oh, I'm an actor and a stuntman." I was like, "All right, whatever, mate." And he was like, "No, legit." And he sent me his IMBD profile. So I'm like, well, he can't be a psychopath if he's on IMBD. So he's badgering me. And I was like, well, stuntman actor could be quite interesting. All right, I'll go on a date with you. So he invited me round to his. That should have been the first alarm bell.
Yeah.
So it was about an hour and 10 minutes on public transport through London. Off I trot to, I think it was East Finchley or something like that, to quite possibly the most vanilla property I've ever been in. And I've been in a lot in the ambulance service. It was fucking magnolia everywhere. If it wasn't magnolia, it was beige. There was nothing on the walls, like no photos, no personality, not even like a book or a DVD or a magazine or a flyer that's come through the door. It's really weird. And he cooked me, I think it was, well, no, I know it was tinned mushrooms and pasta with some very watery tomato sauce, and I don't think there was any protein in it. So I'm sat there like, and they were the little button mushrooms, literally strained them out the can, chucked them in with the pasta and wished it round in the pan. So it was kind of tepid as well. So we've had dinner, and he's making me watch his I can't remember what actors call it, his screen reel or something. It was basically his monologue of his little snippets of him acting.
That's also
so I'm watching
a red flag. Come to my home and watch me on my TV.
It's like, oh, and he slipped into his comfies halfway through, which, like, he took his jeans and shirt off and just put a vest and jogging bottoms on. I was like, if you think I'm settling down, mate, if you know. So I've eaten the disgusting pasta. There was some horrific dessert that I can't quite remember. And then he started talking about my training and my muscles and how amazing my muscles were. And oh, could I just flex a bicep? And oh, could he just give me a little? Oh, I just want to. Oh, you feel so. Oh, you're so
God,
hard.
No.
And then he's like, "Did you get that by doing this?" And I shit you not, he stood in the middle of the living room in his indoor slippers, and he mimicked doing a horrendous clean and jerk. But can you imagine, like, the most coordinated deficit person ever? And it was all kind of like,
oh, Jesus.
Literally my whole career.
and it's just like, So I'm now desperately trying to think of a way to escape. And he was like, "Oh, you don't need to go home. You can just, it's a long way." I'm like, "I've got work in the morning." "Oh, you didn't tell me that." "I know, they've just asked if I can go in." Run away.
Oh my God, I would die. I would
Yeah.
die.
Yeah, if I
And the best bit was, so I didn't hear anything from him until a few days later. I think I messaged him and I was like, "Look, thank you very much for a nice evening, but you know, I need to be honest, it just wasn't, I didn't feel there was a connection." And he's like, "Oh, it's okay, don't worry. I'm not really looking for somebody that's prudish anyway."
What?
And I'm like, "Prudish? You were just creepy, mate. You weren't like,
Oh God!
you didn't put it
no.
on at all. Not that I would have got, but I was just like, prudish. What do you think that tinned mushrooms are going to get you?"
Well, first, if I walked in and saw indoor slippers, I would have been like, right, I'm out.
The indoor slippers came on when the jogging bottoms came on.
They just don't have
Yeah.
shame, do they? Sometimes it's just like, what have you got on? What did you just do? I couldn't.
And the amount of guys on Tinder that say they're 5'11", but they're actually like 5'3" is ridiculous.
It's not even close.
I've been on dates where I've had to stand with with my hip tilted and one leg bent so that I wouldn't be taller than them because they lied about their height.
Oh.
Doing split squats all the time.
Yeah.
I think that they get you there, and then elements of confrontation aren't always easy, right? Like when you're actually in a scenario. So yeah, if people are listening and they're looking at dating and whatever, that actual initial meet, if you're going to someone's house or wherever you are,
Don't go to that house.
I was about to say.
Ideally, you don't go down. If it goes the wrong way, it's not necessarily you're a pussy. It's just like you're in this scenario where you're just like, shit, I don't know how to get out of this, and that's difficult in itself, because even if it is, someone that you think, well, I could just get away, it's quite hard in that fucking environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of pressure, or there definitely was back in my sort of late 20s, early 30s. There was a lot of pressure that if you and I was out at this point, not out the closet out, I mean like going out on the piss out. And it's like, they just kind of, they'll give you a kiss and then it's like, oh, I'm going to get in the cab with you. Oh, I'll come in. And it's all this push. And it's, no, just because I've done that doesn't mean I have to do any more.
Yeah.
If they like buy you a drink, it's like, you've brought me. I thought you'd be a nice. Like, I think I am quite naive in regards to like, I haven't really done the dating thing, but like I used to get sent like fire emojis on my stories, and I'd be like, oh wow, this person's like really interested in my bodybuilding, and I genuinely thought that. I was like, wow, this is really nice. Oh, he's been really nice to me, and I'm thinking, oh, this is cool. I've made a friend.
Then comes the wanking picture.
Yeah.
Like, did you want to send me a photo? I'm like, photo of what? I'm really so special. Oh, this person's being really nice to me. And then you like, I feel like even over message, you start to get to a point where this is making me feel a bit uncomfortable. But even that, like, I find it really hard to be horrible. So I'm like,
if someone punched me in the face, I would thank them for it. That's the kind of person I am.
I think I used to be like that, but I think I've got a little bit better at being like, that's not okay. There's a couple of Instagram pages that are getting close to me, like actually replying with do you really think that's appropriate to refer to an athlete as mistress?
Oh,
like, yeah, my goddess, my mistress. That is not okay. That is not somebody that is trying to be your friend or is interested in your bodybuilding. That is somebody that is literally just trying to fucking objectify you.
I just think the world's gone bizarre. I don't understand. I really don't. I'd be afraid to even reply to most people half the time, because I'm like, does that give them like, right, I'm at the replying to her, she replied to me, does that give them like an open gates to just flood it? Do you know that kind of way? And it's like, I just said thank you. That's all I said. Like,
or double heart, double tap heart it.
Yeah.
Double tap heart it. It is hard, and I don't know about you guys, but it makes me a little bit distrusting of some of the pages that do come in.
Yeah.
But there are also ones out there that come in and they're not creepy and they're not like weirdos. They just like the sport. It's different, and it's hard to negotiate the difference between the two.
Yeah. I also think like you as women in the sport that you want to grow and promote, like you would hope that all of these pages trying to promote you are doing it for the right reasons, when, like you said, Rose, some of them aren't really doing it for the right reasons. They just want to look at muscular women all day.
Yeah.
And have that interaction with you.
Exactly.
It's almost like, I don't know about you, but like a pressure to, if when I first started out and I'm like this little bikini girl from a town where no one does it, when I would get these like fire emojis or people engage with me, I was like, wow, it's going to give me a name in the bodybuilding space. Now, I didn't realize it's someone grafted on me. I'm thinking, oh, am I building this like friendship with someone and whatever? And I was certainly in this mindset of like, I want to get to know other bodybuilders. I want to, understand if this is my thing and whatever. And I wonder if, again, there could be people listening that are in a similar scenario where you just get into it and any attention is a good thing. And it's not necessarily you thinking, oh, I want loads of attention, I want everyone to flirt with me. It's like, I sort of want to get to know people, if you know what I mean.
I would say if it makes you feel uncomfortable but yet you're questioning whether, it's almost that guilt. Like someone says something, it makes you feel uncomfortable, and then you feel guilty that you felt uncomfortable because your good nature is making you presume that their intentions are good. When actually your gut is telling you it's uncomfortable. So it's okay to go, either block or no, that's not okay. But don't keep engaging if it makes you feel uncomfortable. It's not you being rude. It's not being impolite.
Yeah.
If it's making you feel uncomfortable, they're the ones out of order, not you. And I think sometimes we're almost pressured again into thinking that actually it's just us being sensitive.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm.
I block everyone.
Are they gonna like?
I block everyone.
Or,
I wouldn't even, I honestly have no shame in saying it. Like, if I don't see, if I see a message and I see beyond that, to one thing I am very good at, and I love this about myself, is I can clock someone's vibe straight away. If I don't like your vibe straight away, it's a no, it's a block. And I think that's the one good thing I love about myself. Like, I can look at someone, give me 5 minutes and I'll have them sussed out. And if I don't like it, I'm not going to entertain it. I'm just like, nope.
You would have
And
looked
if you're
and been like, he wears indoor shoes, and then you would have just left it.
that's the thing though. That's the thing. Like, before I reply to any Instagram messages, if it comes from a profile I don't know, I'll have a look at them. If they've got an open profile and there's photos of them like lifting, competing, that sort of thing, and they're asking me a question, then I'll engage. If it's a faceless profile with no posts, then just block. Likewise, if it's a page that is just posting scantily clad WPD, women's bodybuilding pros, again, I'm not going to engage with them. Kind of have a look at who you're talking to.
Yeah.
this
100%.
also transfers into public spaces as well. So if you're a bodybuilder that goes to expo shows or whatever, people still fucking try it on, and you wouldn't. I feel like again, it's like you wouldn't think that maybe someone would be grafting on you at a bodybuilding show because you're there as a coach or an athlete or whatever, and then suddenly it's like there's some weird shit going on as well there, for sure.
Sara, do you remember the short guy from the Arnolds and FitX? He had a backpack really tight on his back, very, very short t-shirt, very, very short.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I remember him.
Yeah. And he'd just kind of come up and stare at you.
Oh, yes, I do remember. And then I was like, well, this is a fucking awkward.
Yeah, because he's been at the Arnolds, he's been at Fit, and but he'll do it to Dave as well. He'll just stare at Dave.
No.
Yeah, and like Nath and Josh, he's just there like Nath Styles and Josh Law. He's just there like,
Hey, Sarah, bro.
like what the fuck?
And I bet
admiring, like,
do you know that like Mr. Incredible?
does he just admire?
I don't know if he's admiring, but his hands are in his pockets, which disturbed me. Checking for change.
Keep it. Keep it in your pocket. Put that little away.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
just think it's bizarre. It is bizarre.
Gyms as well. Like if I'm doing my posing or whatever and sports bar, and I'm like, this guy is staring at my fucking tits. Like he's literally staring at my tits. I'm trying to do my bodybuilding here. I'm not doing this to fucking walk around the gym like, And there's some people at our gym that it's really fucking uncomfortable. Like the owner's very good. He's like, if it gets too much or whatever, and they might be doing it to other people. But I'm like, when you're doing something, you think you're literally just staring at my tits here.
Sit down when you don't have any tits. It's fine.
Same. I have nothing there.
At one of my gyms, there was a guy that would do stuff like that, and he'd follow me round bits of kit. And he'd always be on the kit opposite. And then it was messaging me on Instagram, messaging me on Facebook again. That was that was a lot. Yeah. I had to, I think there was Sorry?
If you had a partner there as well with your training, that would put you completely off. Like you wouldn't be comfortable training with your partner when someone's following you around. Like,
well, that was the thing because Dan and I met in the time that he was messaging me, and like told Dan about it, pointed him out, and like then I was like, oh fuck, Dan's gonna smack him if he's like it's. But then I'm worried about if he does something antagonistic and Dan reacts, Dan's going to be the one that's banned from the gym and in the shit. It's not going to be the creepy guy that's been pestering his girlfriend for however long. It's going to be the big bodybuilder that smacks the pathetic weasel.
Yeah. It's always the way.
I think in the end, talking to some of the other women, there was quite a few of us that he was doing it to, and I was in prep at the time, so a bit foggy, but I think we went to the gym manager about it, which is probably the safest option to do if you're in that situation.
Yeah.
Wild that these things even happen. I'm just like, this is so weird. Like, as you said, the world's gone mad earlier, Meckela. Like, it's
Yeah.
weird that, that people go to gyms and stuff to pray on you. And I always think, what if this is happening to someone that's very vulnerable as well? That
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
something happens here, and you also don't know. Like, you could leave the gym in the evening and it's dark, and like all this type of stuff. You don't know what's going to happen, and it's quite scary.
Like you said, Sarah, like it's like, again, people can be vulnerable and take it up the wrong way and be like, right, they're complimenting me because they're being nice. Do you know the kind of way? And then obviously if you are just someone that is just genuinely outgoing and just accept that compliment and be like, right, thank you. Again, as I said, that's opening gates. You don't, some people don't clock people when they're words. They just think, oh, thank you. But then if that goes on further and further and further, like you said, leaving the gym in the evening, what happens there? Do you know the kind of way? Because in their mind, they're like, right, well, she's after accepting that, and then we're going to go one step further. You just don't
Put
know.
your keys in between your knuckles.
Keys.
Keys in between your knuckles. I'm not advocating that.
Oh, do you know what I would
Maybe
do?
just a little bit.
I'd be waving. I'd be like, yeah, simple head. Like honestly, I'd be like, it's me again.
This actually as well will transfer into, and I think this isn't something I've really spoken about on the pod before, but I think this is a good opportunity about coaches abusing their position as well in this regard. Now, obviously, this is, these are all serious topics, and we're having a laugh as well because some of these things you think this is wild, but in the
You have to laugh, otherwise you cry.
Absolutely.
and in the coaching space, I'm sure we've all heard stories and heard about things happening, but again, is there an open platform to people to understand, when you're being asked for naked check-in shots and shit, like this ain't normal, guys, and this is again for us, opening up platforms to talk about things like this, because if you get into bodybuilding and you're asked certain things, how are you to know what's right and wrong? You could easily assume, well, if you're being asked to send naked check-in shots, that's weird. But I don't know, if someone is vulnerable.
I spoke to another coach the other day, and he said about the fact that a girl that came across from from one coach to him, and she sent him like these pictures, and he was like, you have like you can like, oh no, she didn't send him any pictures, but she was like, oh, this is what I've been doing for check-in, and he was like, you should be wearing clothes in your check-in, and she was like, oh, like, oh, my previous coach said not to, and he was like, that's really bad. Like you just wear something you're comfortable in, but what he was asking you to do, that's not okay.
What are your thoughts on, because I've seen a few posts recently where a client sent a check-in photo and the coach has posted it and it's a rear shot and they're in a thong, okay, but then they got no top on, but it's from behind.
No.
And that got me thinking, because I reacted a bit to that, but then, and I'm sure she won't mind me saying because she doesn't mind me posting it, I've got a client who has had top surgery. She doesn't want to transition, but she just wanted top surgery. And she sends me her check-in without her top on.
Yeah.
And she says that's how she's comfortable.
Yeah, I've got a girl.
And it's like, what right do I have to react to a male coach posting that? I don't know what conversations they have or hadn't had. That's the word. When I do the same, knowing that I've got my client's permission, it's quite, I don't know. I was a bit like, oh, this is.
But do you know if they had
check myself?
Yeah,
that's the thing. But then nobody on my Instagram would know necessarily that I've got my client's permission. I mean, I tagged her in it, so I think that's kind of.
Yeah.
I think it's weird if it's like maybe like not a questionable shot, but I mean, I always ask clients if are you happy for me to post it? Yeah, because some girls might not want certain shots to be put on or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's always worth just being like, hey mate, are you happy for me to post this? Not really. That's fine. Like,
yeah, totally. No offense.
Yeah, and some clients don't want. Like, I've got a client that doesn't want her name put on transformations, but she's like, I really want, like, I really want you to be able to do that and show your work that you've done with me. But she had a previous coach, and she's not come because they live in the same area, and she wanted to come to me, and she felt a bit difficult with that. So she was like, I'd love you to post without the head. And I was like, okay, well, I want to celebrate you. You know, when I do a challenge,
Yeah.
that's what it's about. I want to do a nice write up. So I don't put her name as well. So again, it's that communication, isn't it? But
I've also got a couple of clients who are very religious, and showing like their skin outside of a marriage is a huge no-no. So they just said, look, with all due respect, like this is how we work, this is our religion. If you just honor that, then that's fine. I was like, yeah, of course. Like you don't have to be
Yeah.
on my social media. Like if your coach asks, then if you don't want to have them popped up, then that's fine. Like a coach turning around being like, well, I have to have you don't have to be on any social media. Like you're there for that.
No.
You know what I mean?
Your body, your choice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that it almost comes down to, again, the relationship that coach and client have too. Like you need to be open with your coach what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with. Like if you don't want pictures posted, like this shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't even be a second thought. If you said no, they said no, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like no is no at the end of the day.
Even like I've turned around to Tom and been like, look, mate, like I really don't want you posting me up until a certain point in my prep because I don't want the pressure. And I'm sure many of us have done that where you've been like, look, just lay off for several weeks while I get into the swing of things, and then you can post me. But while I'm
Yeah.
getting into the swing of things, like just leave it. Like it's much better that way.
yeah, some people.
Sometimes you'd be afraid to post things as well, though, because even when you're posting in your bikini, you do get mad bleeding DMs. It's like, mate, I'm in bodybuilding. Like, obviously, I'm going to be standing here in a check-in picture in a fucking bikini that's designed for a posing bikini. Doesn't give you
Yeah.
the right to come into me DMs being mad weird and all. Like, no, get out of here. Block.
It's hard because you want to celebrate. Like a lot of when I do a post or whatever, I'm like, actually, and I sometimes put it on my story. I'm like, this is for me to essentially be able to track my own confidence with being able to hit a pose and being able to be a bit open to that myself, to open my own narrative. This isn't for, and I don't get too many DMs and stuff, so that's good. But it's like, actually, sometimes I'm going to do a selfie or whatever, and it's like, okay, cool. I'm not going to do these all the time, but it's like, for me, I'm challenging my narrative with owning bodybuilding.
No.
And and that's been quite a nice cathartic journey for me. Like before I won a show, I'd be like, I don't compete because I didn't earn the right. I was like 5 years. It was like if anyone asked me about competing, I was like, yeah. So how are you? I can't talk about it. I can't talk about it. And I just had this own stigma in my own mind. And then I realized, personally, for me, in off season, that would be when I'd be hiding, like fucking, just yeah, really, really hard for me personally. Obviously, you guys as well inspiring me to just own that shit. Like, we're doing this thing, and it's like,
It takes time though. I remember when I first started bodybuilding, I remember saying to my first coach, "Oh, I don't want to lose my shreds in off season. I don't want to be one of those fat off season bodybuilders." And that was, I think, quite possibly until lockdown, and we stopped moving quite so much. And there was more eating happening because there was nothing else to do, that I kind of embraced the softer off season and then kind of realized from the growth from that. But it's not something you can just wake up and decide, actually, I'm comfortable being fluffier.
it is
I
difficult.
still go around and brand the gym. I have a big gut hanging out. Don't care. Gut just be hanging out and all. I'm like, I actually don't care. There's nothing I can do. Have to
That's
grow.
what you sort of have to get to, though, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know. There's something I think switches in your mind that you're just like,
Yeah.
it's a bloody it's fucking hell. What am I only gonna, be able to post a photo when I'm fucking stage lean? Like it is, and it's very, very empowering because as well, I've done social experiments where I'm like, I wonder if people like me more in off season or as a lean physique, and I feel like actually people empower me more in an off season now. Like people are like this. I know
You know when you can,
you get it as well, don't you, Sarah? Where people are like, yeah, boy."
Yeah. 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 But then I think maybe if you're someone that does post off-season pictures, like because not many people do it, you do get putting more attention because they're like, holy shit, like an actual person in off season instead of always posting these shred pictures. Like, don't get me wrong, like obviously the shred pictures get more interaction and all that stuff, but like it's so important to show every side of it because the way like I get shredded because I do this in my off season, not like I just constantly stay shredded. Like the reason why I improve every year is because I allow myself to get into a position where body fat is higher.
For
I
sure.
think as well, like females, they, I don't know how to word this properly. In an off season, they think they're gonna let themselves go. How they look, do you know the kind of way? And if anything, I'm more aware of my appearance in an off season. I'm like, right, well, if I can't hide down there, at least I can do something up here. Do you know the kind of way? So it's like that's not going anywhere. So
I
it has
go
to be
through
something there.
phases. Some off seasons, actually, no. I think if I'm stressed in an off season, then I stop bothering.
Mm.
So it's normally a telltale of how my life balance is going.
I think as well, because again, I work outside of this as well, so I need to have a face on. So even when I'm on my days off, I still have a face on. But that makes me feel good in the gym, even though the gut is hanging out. That eliminates looking at that. If I
Yeah.
can say, "Oh, your hair actually looks nice today," yeah, thanks, I know you. Nice
But
one.
that's the thing. It's like do what makes you feel happy and confident and comfortable.
Yeah.
For me personally, I don't like the feeling of makeup on my skin. So I haven't worn makeup, I don't think since like 2013, like foundation, other than when we're on stage.
Yeah.
And I went through a tinted moisturizer phase for about a year and then I just binned it off completely. And it got to the point working night shifts in an air conditioned building, I couldn't put mascara on or anything because my eyes were so dry, I was constantly rubbing them.
Yeah.
So I would literally just draw my eyebrows on because I overplucked them as a kid, whack my glasses on and go off to work.
Yeah.
But that made me feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
I do say this to people, they're like, how do you wear makeup in the gym? I'm like, well, first of all, I was a makeup artist, so I know how to do makeup pretty well. Second of all, if I'm going into the gym and I feel confident, not that I'm saying like, oh my God, everyone look at me. If I feel confident in how I look, I'm confident in my set then. I know it's probably like a bit, but I'm like, no, I have this. I know I'm going to do that.
Oh,
So
no,
I go into a
set.
set like that. Do you know the kind of way? Yeah, I'm gonna fuck shit up today. Watch me do this now. And then I'm probably like, have 5 kg.
My
Not
equivalent
really
is
all right.
my equivalent is my favorite clean like gym outfit when it's like gone through because you can only wear yeah.
Yeah,
I think what I mentioned before the podcast might have kicked in.
I think so.
All right, let's sleep this sleep. I feel like this would actually be a good talking point to talk about sleep supplements.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
I was in this airport.
It wasn't.
Flowing.
So yeah,
That's fine.
I was explaining to these guys before we jumped on that my sleep's gone a little bit to shit already, which is great. So I've been trying some THC gummies, and I had them probably about an hour and 10 minutes ago now. So yeah,
That's funny.
they've
Man
hit
is
in now.
a bit of a planet.
Not quite, not quite. But we were talking about. You said, Michaela, didn't you, that you thought valerian root.
Oh, danger zone.
What did you say it did?
Danger zone. Just nightmares, night terrors. I'd be sweating. But it was paralysis more than anything. I'll never forget this. Just this structure at the end of the bed. And I was stuck and I was like, I cannot move. And this is coming towards and towards and towards. And I was like, never again.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye. THC all the
So
way.
back in 2023, Dan did a load of research to try and help my sleep because it was fucked up from the PTSD. And I think it was Andrew Huberman that he ended up doing a load of reading about. And he was saying that there's magnesium L-threonate, Apigen, and then L-theanine are three really good supplements to help you kind of get to sleep, stay asleep, have longer sleep, deeper sleep, all that stuff. But some of the research also suggests that the L-theanine can make things like night terrors, bad dreams, paralysis, that sort of thing worse. So I was wondering if it was maybe there was some L-theanine in whatever had the valerian root, because they can be together. Whether it was more that than the valerian roots, but that was my. See, I'm not that bad.
The valerian root's quite mild to a certain degree. I think it's meant to be sort of a herbal remedy.
Yeah, because it's in calms.
In tea. I was getting the valerian tea.
Yeah. It's I find that it actually helps my periods as well, because I get really bad fucking period pain. Like, as in I'm being kicked in the fucking dicks here. It's fucking horrendous. My little micro pee.
There's something to do with melatonin and serotonin receptors on the outside or inside of our uterus and ovaries. So if your sleep's like a bit fucked up because of stress or whatever affecting your melatonin and serotonin, then it could think there's a link to like period pain. So when you're taking those sleep supplements, you're obviously boosting your natural production because that's what they're meant to be doing. So it might be something to do with that. I possibly don't know. That was just a podcast I listened to. I'm now ruining everything I was going to talk about on Saturday. Oh, it's all right though, because Saturday would have already happened when this airs, so it's fine.
Actually, a little teaser for the next one. And sorry, you said you use THC drops?
Yeah, like oil. And it really does help, to be honest. Like I don't really use often. Maybe like once I used it quite a bit in off season, but I get the munchies on them, so I kind of just.
I was going to say, was that appetite related? Because I did something similar.
Like, yeah, that'll be fine. And then like now I'm like, probably not a good idea, because I'll just coffee when I probably shouldn't be having coffee. But like, yeah, like I honestly thought like what I would do is if it was on like a late shift, I'd finish work, I'd have a few teaspoons of thing and just like melt into the sofa, and it was just so nice because like everything just seems to like disappear for about an hour. I mean, I'm making this sound like I have a horrendous life, but sometimes like you just can't switch off. It's like constantly having this, having that, especially like when you have a super busy day. It's like, oh fuck, someone's done this, and you just can't really like just fucking sit down and think about nothing. Like have nothing in your brain for about an hour makes such a difference. And like sleep using THC is like on another level. It's like the fucking best thing in the world.
The only thing I would say is there is research around THC impacting the amount and the length of REM sleep you have.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't have very good REM sleep anyway, so it's kind of a balance of sleeping like 5 to 6 hours on a good night versus a disturbed 4. It helps. Every hour helps, but if you know that if you use a Whoop or whatever and you know that you've got banging REM sleep, then THC probably isn't the best thing.
I know there's a link with ADHD and insomnia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Can't remember about it though right now. I'm doing really fucking well in my defense.
I don't know if it is the attention deficit, the brain overworks, as it were. Often with ADHD, it's described as like the messy brain, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if it's
all at once. It's just like it's the only way I can describe it is like, do you ever see a picture and it's just scribbles? That's just scribbles. Honestly, I'm just like, oh, what is going on? If people only knew what was going on up there, then they'll understand. Right, she's a bit on that side for a reason.
We were talking about it when we trained together, weren't we? Because we're quite similar in our traits. My thoughts are like butterflies that I can kind of catch for a second, and then they fly away again, and I'm like, fuck, where did that go?
I'm just like a full-on space. Yes. But it's so erratic, but you can't put pen to paper as to what's going on up there. Yeah. So I'm like, oh my God, please. That's why I say to people, if I say things that just come out, just ignore me, because I don't think before I speak either. It just falls out. I'm just like, oh shit. Did I actually say that? I was like, I actually did say that. Sorry, didn't mean that. But then I say to people, don't take anything personal, what I say. Well, so it depends on what it is. Depends on the situation.
I thought that was just because you're Irish.
Oh, that's what makes it worse. That's what
Hello.
makes it worse. Everything just falls out. I'm like, oh, I get into, I could get myself seriously locked up here.
Dan started asking me, like, when I'd say something really random, he starts asking me how I got to that thought.
Oh, good luck.
No, it's like when I explain it, he's like, oh, I kind of get that. Sometimes he's looking at me going, no, I fucking don't.
See, in their brains, it's like you've so much up there and you're trying to get it all out at once. And then it just sounds like you're talking just completely different language. It just doesn't get it. It's the same, even say, relating back to like a relationship.
Yeah.
I would feel bad if I was to ever be with someone. I don't think you'll understand me. I actually don't think you would. Let alone how I speak because of my accent, but everything else, I don't think you'd understand me. I'm just like, I don't think I should give it a shot.
Oh, has Dan got any stories of dating females?
I've got my headphones in, so he can't hear me. He does have a story of dating a female bodybuilder, but
Is it you, Ray?
hang on a minute. What? Oh, he said she wasn't a real bodybuilder. She liked horse riding as well.
Oh,
I don't know whether that was supposed to be like a sexual comment or.
He's looking because he can't hear what you're saying, but he can see me laughing, and he's talking to me, but I can't hear him because of my headphones in.
The real question is, do you find it hard dating being a bigger bodybuilder?
You know what? Like I had this conversation with someone the other day, and I think it's not why I'm gay, but I couldn't be with a guy knowing that I'm bigger than them. I just think that's fucking weird. Like
That's why I was very, very single until I met Dan.
Yeah, innit? I just think that's fucking weird. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, when I was with guys, like I had a boyfriend, and this was like years ago, and I was even bigger than him then, and I was like, this is just fucking weird.
I've always said that, and then like when I've said it out loud, I'm like, I'm not trying to discriminate here against smaller guys or whatever, but yeah, I personally have never been with someone that's like, especially when if we're doing off seasons. Obviously, I'm only 15, but it's like as you do get bigger, it would feel terrible.
Yeah. I do find it hard. I think I've done my fair share of like babysitting back then before I done like bodybuilding. Now come here, I'm not saying I'm fucking massive, but over here because it's not the norm, it is like I wouldn't go near her. Do you know that kind of way? And it's like I suppose it's kind of the reason why, as I said before, like I've done my fair share of babysitting. Like I'm at a point in my life where I do want to settle down, and I'm not ready for all of this little fling shit again. I've done my fair share, but again, that would mean I would have to move out of Ireland. That's not being bad. It's not. It's if you go out there now to my gym, show me someone that's bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Because not to sound bad, but and not to be big headed around him. If you can't keep up with my training, where's the balance? Where's the balance? Where's the kind of the communication there, or the kind of similarities in interests? Do you know the kind of way? It's like
this is what I was getting at when I said like the amount of guys on Tinder that would say they were a bodybuilder and then weren't, because it would be like start having a few dates and try even down to the trying to arrange it. Oh, how about this date? Sorry, I'm training. What about this date? Nope, training. How about then? Nope, got to do my cardio. And then they're like, but can't you just have a day off? Can't you just have a rest day? And it's all this like, oh, they love the fact that on paper I'm a professional bodybuilder, but when it comes to the actuality of being in that environment, and they're like, oh, can't you have a drink? Oh, don't you want this bit of cake? Like, no. Why aren't you saying anything? Because I'm on prep.
Yeah. I think it's very difficult as females, I would say. It's very difficult. I don't think people talk about that actually at all. Actually, no, I don't think people do speak how hard it can be mentally. Knowing that there comes a point in time where you do want to settle down, but it's not that you can't. You don't find someone compatible because it goes from one extreme to another, from peak off season to prep. You need to find someone that understands that, or that's in that environment, like you said, Romana. You need to find someone that's in that environment and understands and supports 110%. Because you get people that can support you, but they only support that 20-30%. They don't support the rest. Do you know the kind of way? They need to understand the ins and outs, emotions and time frames, absolutely everything. I do think it's hard that to come by people that understand 110%
Yeah, and also,
rather than 20-30.
I think sometimes, you know, you hear a lot of things where it's like after a prep, the partner's like, you need to make it up to me. It's like, eh?
Oh, I got that. What do you mean I need to make it up to you? Would you ever shut up?
It fucks me off because, right, and this is the thing, people won't say it like this. It's like, I don't need to apologize for doing a prep, but
Yeah.
comes a time where you can then go for meals, you can do things together. You're not making things up. It's like that person supported, you know, I don't go into a relationship and hide that I'm a bodybuilder. It's like, this is my thing. This is my thing, right? Like it's so clear. And it's like, there's going to be times where I'm probably going to be, you know, up against it at the tail end of the prep or whatever. But that's part of being with a bodybuilder.
Partnership.
Yeah, I don't feel like we should be apologizing, right? We don't have to be a dickhead, but you know,
Mm.
we are a little bit sometimes.
But if so, you're getting into that relationship from the start, and if you make it well known
Yeah.
how much this means to you, that person, they have an option to take it or leave it. Like, you're not forcing them into that relationship. You're being honest. You're giving them all the details of what it takes and what you'll be doing and what you enjoy. And if someone doesn't meet you halfway, I don't think you should go any further with it. I don't anyway. It's like you're wasting time, like babysitting again, like I said.
Yeah.
I haven't got time for babysitting.
Like it's when, you know, and things can happen where it's like, oh, you weren't as emotionally available in your prep, so I've had to go and do whatever.
Go elsewhere. Stay elsewhere.
Yeah, I know.
It's not okay, and it's like we're trying to do something here to really fucking push ourselves to grow as people, to grow as athletes. We're not just pissing around here. Like this is everything to us, and I just feel like there should be this unconditional support. And it's a shame because then you get the comments from partners. You also get partners that will just sit and smash a load of food in front of you, and I don't have a problem with that. But in a prep, some people do that. Are, you know, prepping for the first time, and the partner's just smashing a load of food, and they say, "Oh, I don't really like you at lean," and all of this like undercurrent of stuff. And it's like, you know, when you hear these things, you think that's meant to be the person you're spending your life with.
I had an ex tell me, "What's the point? It's not like you're going to get anywhere anyway." And I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not, you know, there, but fuck off, mate. Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. If it makes you happy, like to have a goal, whether it's achievable or not, is still something in your life, rather than
makes you happy.
what made him happy was getting pissed smoking fags.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Great.
Oh, ick. Ugh. Ick.
Yeah.
Nope. Go sit on it. No, thank you. Keep it.
I was a
just
different
don't
person back
understand.
then, but I knew I still wanted to be good at something.
Yeah.
But that makes you happy, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You don't need to answer. I think you come to a point in your life where you don't need to answer to anyone. You don't need to tell anyone why you're even doing it, because you enjoy it anyway. It just, I don't understand it.
I think
It blows my mind.
it can, you know, if you're pursuing something with passion and maybe you're looking better than the partner or whatever, they could easily maybe be a bit jealous or be like, you know, why is this person doing this so much? And it's like, I ain't doing this for fucking attention. This is my thing. And I don't think people can sometimes understand that narrative, and then it breeds the jealousy and all this stuff, and it's quite difficult.
Why you wearing makeup to the gym? Who are you trying to impress? Me, you silly cunt, me. I'm looking at me in the mirror. I'm trying to impress me to make sure, do you know the kind of way? Like,
I've had, what did that guy just say to you? Why were you flirting with me? Well, flirting with him. It's like, he asked me how many sets I got left. So I told him.
yeah. He winked his eye at me.
It's just like, seriously? And even if he was flirting with me, why is that my fault that somebody else's behavior is flirtatious towards me when I'm just existing, trying to lift weights? Like
You
that.
just
If
mind your
anyone does
business.
that to you, they are fucking gaslighting cunts. Fuck them off.
We don't want any gaslighting. We don't want yes men. And
It is not your fault if someone flirts with you, unless, of course, you are actually shoving your tits in their face.
and you're reciprocating. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
You're a nice person. It's like, I'm literally being a nice person here. You need to trust me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stick to my boundaries here.
But then that comes into play, like with the communication and the relationship you have together. Like, especially in bodybuilding, you need to 110% trust each other. As bodybuilders, we're going to get compliments. Everyone's going to give you compliments, and you need to fully trust that partner, and that partner needs to fully trust you to be like, right, they're just accepting a compliment, and that's all there is to it. There's no maliciousness behind it. It's just a compliment, and that's all that's going to happen.
I
Do you know
remember
what I mean?
being in a gym, like being back at gym once, and there was like a reception, and the lads were like, "Oh, Sara, what would you do if your partner went through your phone?" And I was like, "Nothing. I've got nothing to hide." I was like, "She literally runs my Instagram. Like, why would I have any problem with?" So, is there nothing on your phone that you know? Like, why would I have anything to hide from her? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and if she had things to hide from me, then that's her decision. She's a big enough and beautiful girl to, if she wants to cheat, then that's fine. Like, that's your decision. You made your bed then. Like, if you want to,
Yeah.
but like, what? I knew all these guys were like, what? And I was like, that's called a committed relationship, lads. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I
I
mean?
find that very hard nowadays in this generation. It's very hard for people just to commit to one. Well, I don't know if you find it, but I do personally, just from previous. I'm just like,
The grass is always greener. It's always greener. It's always greener. There's always something bigger, better out there. It's like,
yeah. And then it's like, come back to me when you realize. Actually, don't come back to me. Stay there.
yeah.
I don't mean
You
that.
come back and I'll tell you to fuck off again.
Just let me know that you were like, yeah, Meckela, I'm sorry, and I know what I done, and then I'll be happy. I'll be like, yeah, I knew it. I knew from the
What
start.
you say?
I feel like
I tried to have a one night stand, but I ended up with her 10 years later. Like, I was like, I can't leave now.
one night stands are so. I've had one night stand. I felt so fucking weird. I was like, how the fuck? And then you wake up and you're like, oh my god, what have I? This is when I was fucking really young. Not really young, but I was an adult.
Yeah.
And how fucking awkward I am with this shit. And I was
Over
just
the
like,
age of consent, FYI.
I was like, I feel fucking terrible. I'm never gonna do that again. And I've never been on like a dating app or anything. But like that concept of it just feels really, really weird. I was
That's
pissed.
why I tried. I just couldn't do it.
I feel I'm sitting here and I'm like silently kind of almost judging myself. And then I remember that I'm going to be 40 this year.
Yeah,
So the fact that I've
yeah.
been there, done that, got the t-shirt, it's like, don't be too hard on myself. Thanks. Reformed.
I wouldn't know what to do if I was to even go on a date. I remember it's how would you say, like gym crush. I remember he came up talking to me, and I knew exactly what, because I had seen the Instagram, whatever, chatting to me, and I went to him. What do you squat?
It's kind
Tell me about that.
It's kind of like just sitting down and be like, "Do you like bread?"
I swear to God, he literally looked at me. He was like, "Meckela, you commented on me squat before," and I was like, "What do you squat?" Like I was like, "Oh, I can't believe I just said that." And then ever since, I'm afraid to even look at anyone. I'm just like, don't know what to do. I'm after seeing that now. I don't know what to do. What do you squat? BBC squats 210.
Thing is as well with relationships, like you say, to find a relationship, it takes work. Like you can't just become complacent.
Yeah.
And as well, because it's like, there needs to be pouring into it, doesn't it? Otherwise it gets
messy.
There's being content in a relationship, but there's also complacency that can breed all types of shit,
Dan and I talk quite a lot about, if how we're feeling, if what's happened, if we've had a situation, we sort of, why did that happen? Why did this happen? And that's really helpful. But it's what I've learned from the various disastrous relationships I've been through is that the key is trying to find a way to communicate that isn't like up here. And remembering that you've both got invested emotions, and that's why you feel up here. And if you need to just take some time, be quiet, and then come back together to try and talk about it, but try and find a place to communicate in a calm way, because arguments they just get worse and worse and worse. Shit.
Not worth it either, because something so small can escalate, and it's very hard to come back from level 100 to 100 to 1. Do you know the kind of mean? Just sort it out, just be adults about it.
I've had rows where shit's been flown out of 5th floor windows. Fucking mental.
Is that
Like in the middle of yeah, in the middle of central London. It was like, this is just mental. What the fuck? And then, I remember he was like, "Will you just fuck off home?" I was like, "I can't. You just throw my shoe out the window."
Oh, oh God, no.
Yeah.
Relationships
Cray.
frighten me now. They do frighten me, but I've been in some crazy. I've only been in like 2 relationships, but yeah, a bit bizarre. I'd be afraid to say anything. Just like nope. I do find it hard though, like especially as I moved up a class. I feel like people forget that we have still got feelings, and
Yeah.
we're not just that's a girl with muscles. She has no feelings. I'm like, I'm actually the softest person and the simplest person you'll ever meet in your life. I actually do have feelings. Like, but I think we're painted. Huh?
But a nice person that loves you, supports your bodybuilding.
Yeah,
Doesn't seem that difficult, but it fucking is.
it fucking is. Jesus Christ, I've never found that so hard in my life. Not in I meant to say that came out completely wrong.
Penny just dropped with that one.
See what I mean? Things just falling. But yeah, no, I think I do think as you go up in the class, I think people forget that you still have feelings, and we're still females with feelings. Which is a good thing. Like it's a good thing, I think, that we still have feelings, because we're kind of painted as, oh, they can take shit, and it's like sometimes we can't. Sometimes we do. We just want that. We just want to feel feminine, small, for another masculine energy to come in and make us feel feminine. But sometimes you have to step out of that, because you're kind of protecting yourself. Do you know the kind of way?
I just feel there's a massive lack of alpha males out there. Good alpha males, not the like toxic alpha males. They think they're alpha males, but they're actually like
morons.
Yeah.
I say it.
We want to be like, I feel like sometimes it's just like you want to be a bit soft, but you've got to let yourself as well, because you're like, no,
Yeah.
no, and then you're like, oh, I just want someone to cuddle me.
And then you're like, whoops, sorry, don't speak English. What does that mean?
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Boundaries, personal space.
Step over there.
Romana, how are you feeling? Are you spaced out yet, or are you feeling quite good?
Nah, I'm just chilled.
I love it. I love it. What a bloody episode. We are wild cards.
Yeah.
Hey,
Good episode.
this is the risk you run when you plan a podcast at 6:30 in the evening.
I feel like your eyes are a little bit like, ooh.
Possibly. But then I'm also very aware that the sunbed I had earlier, the heat is really coming out of my face.
Oh, shit.
And where I've got my headphones in and I've got my phone propped up on my laptop with my laptop screen coming at me. The dogs are play fighting. I'm like overheating. That's the sunbed. That's nothing to do with THC.
I love it. Well, to finish, let's say what we're gonna have for our last meal today. Fuck it. Let's share what our last meal is. Go on, tell me. We're bodybuilders.
Oh, cream.
Mine is the rest of the oats I've been quietly working my way through the whole episode.
They look nice.
They do look nice.
Caramel biscuit whey. Oh, that was the dogs. That was not me. Caramel biscuit whey, frozen dark cherries, oats, dark chocolate, almond butter. Banging.
Oh, that sounds banging.
Bro, has your food dropped much?
No, but the whole anxiety thing's kind of being a bit of a fuckhead.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Have you announced your shows, or are you just rolling with it?
So we have shows planned. It's not really fuck me, the dogs. It's not really a secret. Going back to Empro as the first one.
Nice.
Then Portugal and if I've got the money, then back to Chicago. But that being said, I check in again Friday.
Yeah.
And judging like how the look's coming, I don't know if we may be looking to do an earlier show. I'm not sure.
That'd be good. Just go with the flow then, really.
Yeah, basically, it's like it feels a bit like 2023 again. No, new category, no pressures.
You know what? I was
Seeing
having
where
with someone the other day about this, and he was like, "Why don't you just prep and just see where you land?" And I was like, "I probably couldn't because I need that. I need to know where I'm at." But like because he does it every year. He's like, "I just start prepping, and then when I think I'm ready, I'll just go for a show." I was like, "Fair." Well,
Always
being male, you have way more shows than we do. So
well, the thing was, I was meant to start prep kind of May time,
yeah,
to do some shows closer towards the back end of the season.
yeah,
But then there was this option of going to Empro,
yeah.
and I would have had to have gone anyway. So I would have had to have spent the money anyway. And they've got women's bodybuilding. So it's a bit like, why the fuck not?
The Spanish show. I don't know when you did Emperor last, but when I was in Cante 2 years ago, the women's bodybuilders were fucking ace. They were so
Yeah.
good. Like the European bodybuilders are fucking sick.
I don't actually remember them at Empro in 2023,
Yeah.
but then I don't really remember much. So they could have been there. I'm not guys, will you shut the fuck up? Apologies if you can hear that.
By the way. No,
Literally, she's just been going full gremlin mode.
Oh, look at her.
Like she's right, Rogue, fuck off.
Sorry.
She's robust. She's robust.
Oh dear. Yeah,
You
fair.
had a big food drop, Sarah.
So I've gone from I've gone from 240 protein to 225 protein on both training and rest days. And then training day has gone from 600 carb to 450. And then rest day has gone from 500 to 350, and then fats both at 45.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But I've dropped like quite a considerable amount since being off. So I've gone from like after like my last meal. So say I started at like 84.4, I'm now 80. So and that's within like I think it's like 10 days maybe.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so it will fall off, and then it will stop, and then it will get really stressful.
Yes.
And then I'll be like, fuck, and then it will come down again.
I'm fucking doing this. It's fucking shit.
Yeah, I'm in the little group chat, the little WhatsApp chat.
I'll
so
stick.
good. Yeah, so good.
Oh no, yeah, that's ace. So yeah, but I've like noticed this. I was saying this to someone today at work, like Cody, who I work with. I'll find that I'll have like after leg day it'll go up, after rest day, and then it'll new low. It'll go up, new low. It's just like this routine thing. Because I weigh
the inflammation from training.
Yeah, and then rest day. Someone was like, "How does your weight go up on a rest day?" And I was like,
does.
Not moving.
Yeah, it's like delayed information. It's information. It's delayed in. Oh, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, but it's like literally like the same trend all the way through the week. It's really interesting, actually.
Yeah, I love that shit. I'm like, this is really cool.
The first few weeks.
I don't weigh myself daily.
Not.
No, I can't.
Can we just do it without? Like, do what Samson does and just do it without? Because he probably could prep me without the scales. And he was like, no.
Negative.
Towards the back end of the prep, I'm like really scale focused, and I don't really want that this year. And he was like, probably do it 4-6 weeks out.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really depends. But like I said, like the first few weeks of prep are really fucking boring anyway. Like nothing really happens.
Yeah, you look
weird. Yeah. And then it gets like spicy, and you're like, yes. Here we go.
Then you get the plateau, and you're like, "Fuck's sake, it's not working."
Yeah.
And then suddenly you're feeling like you get some striations, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. I find the bit between like 8 and maybe 6 weeks the best time of your life because you're like, look good. I don't look like an Auschwitz survivor yet. Like,
you've got some energy.
Yeah. And then you just get worse, and you're like, I look great, but I feel like death.
And then you put petrol in your diesel van and you drive it 4 miles.
Oh, fuck.
Yes. Yes.
I moved home. I start peaking on the Monday, and I moved home on the Monday.
Oh
Randomly,
my God.
within an hour. Within an hour, I'm not kidding you. I got keys, and I brought my sofa and a bed, and I was like, I'm peaking today. I'm
Yeah,
peaking today.
that's it.
Yeah, fuck
Take my mind
it.
up.
May as well. But yeah, I think it's mad. Like obviously seeing the difference between everyone's prep. But again, I find it, like again, it's the 8 6 weeks when you start to see people's realistic. But it's nice to see the likes of yourselves shown from the start of the off season to the prep, and then the start of the prep to the middle of the prep. I find people block out the kind of the start of prep because obviously again you're still carrying that body fat, and
Yeah.
then you only start to see it towards the end of it. But it's nice to see the full, to show people what really happens, like what really goes on.
We always say that, don't we? It's like it's not
Mm.
that, otherwise you're almost hearing that people should hide away at that point, and it's like this is,
Mm.
or people will get to stage condition and then do the transformation from the off season, and you're like, why haven't you?
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Wow, look at this transformation. Okay.
Yeah. So it's nice to see the full.
Yeah.
I think it's good, and that even that WhatsApp group is so good.
Yeah.
Just give people more of an insight.
I actually think they're fucking brilliant. Like,
Mm.
I don't really think anyone else other than Tom does them at the moment, but they like literally give you, and obviously at the moment it's quite boring because there's nothing really going on. But when they start getting closer and closer to shows, they're fucking so cool. Because he did one with Reese McDonald last year, and it was fucking so good because it was like daily check-ins. You saw what Tom did with his refeeds and shit like that, and it was just, it also keeps me accountable because I would always say like my steps at the moment like 12,000. I'll just fucking go straight into 20. Do you know what I mean? But actually, like I said to Tom this year, I was like, I'm actually gonna do what you say this year and not fucking go overboard. So like it keeps me accountable as well because I know like, okay, 12,000, and if he escalates it's because 12,000 for me is really hard to hit in regards to not going over it because I move around a lot. So like it's kept me accountable a little bit more so to my steps and stuff, which is cool.
Yeah, yeah. Even the breakdown that you do is what he's doing and all is so good.
Yeah, it's cool. But yes, still fun games.
Unleashing the beast. Well, my gals, thank you as always. I hope everyone listening has enjoyed the rambles. What a bloody journey.
Yeah.
Love it. And of course, we will keep you entertained forever, forever. Thank you, my G's.
Absolutely. And we're going to see you on Saturday.
Nice one. Yeah.
I'm picking up the samples tomorrow.
Oh yeah. The goodies that keep on giving, my people. Love it. Thank you, girls.
All right, laters.
Bye.
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 Bye.